Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, welcome to the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week comes from Aftershock Comics. It's Beyonders #1. I really highly enjoyed this comic book. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was really cool. Had a lot of cool ideas. It's written by Paul Jenkins with artwork by Wesley St. Clair. The artwork is pretty decent. It's good. It gets the job done. It has a nice flow along with the narrative. The story is very cool. I liked it a lot. It's like all these conspiracy theories, right? And it's all tied together. So all these crazy things like the Baghdad battery and crop circles and things like that, it's all tied together in one giant conspiracy theory. This one kid knows about it, and he feels like he's alone in the world and everybody thinks he's just full of it, and then you find out that maybe he's not full of it. And it's a really fun story by Paul Jenkins. He's a veteran writer in the comic book industry. Really cool stuff. The artwork has a great flow to it. It's a little bit loose, a little scratchy. Some people may not really like that. It's not super well defined artwork, but it does a great job of keeping the flow, capturing the emotion, and just carrying the book forward. This was really, really cool. It's almost like an Invisibles esque type thing, but not quite, right? So it has its own footing, it has its own thing. Code breaking is all a big part of this. So like even Paul Jenkins has put a code in the book. You can unlock the code and enter to win prizes and things like that. So that's really cool. A lot of different elements to this book, but I really do like it. And on a week like this, where it's the 5th Wednesday, we don't have a lot of different books to pick from. And like there's not a lot of books out this week, but I didn't find, I didn't have any trouble finding a lot of books to read. But Beyonders is definitely one. If you got a short stack this week, check this out. It's my pick of the week. Really cool, crazy concepts, a great flow to the story, very perfectly executed comic book, flowed so well. I really, really liked Beyonders a lot. Let's move over to Marvel, because they got a pair of Venom books out this week. Donny Cates has been doing an amazing thing on Venom right now, so let's talk about Web of Venom, Ve'nam, #1. So Web of Venom is a new series of one-shots. It's going to be spearheaded by Donny Cates. It's going to kind of fill in some of the gaps and the holes in the Venom mythology and all the new stuff that Donny Cates has brought onto the table as far as Venom goes. This is a chance for him to elaborate a little bit more on that. The first one-shot is going to be focused on Venom. It's the army, or it's the group of soldiers in Vietnam that S.H.I.E.L.D. has given symbiotes, right? So it doesn't have anything to do with Eddie Brock or the Venom symbiote or anything like that. But if you've been reading Venom, you know that Donny Cates has revealed that the government's been using these symbiotes for a while, right? And so this is the story of when they were using them in the Vietnam War. It has cool guest appearances. It focuses a little bit on Nick Fury as well. Really cool kind of war story involving the Venom symbiotes and all that stuff. I really liked it. It's written by Donny Cates. The artwork is pretty solid. It fits the tone of the book. It's raw and rough when it needs to be. Has that tone of war, things like that. Ramirez's artwork is really cool and it fits the story. Very dynamic when it needs to be. I'm loving what Donny Cates is doing over at Venom right now. So this is just kind of like stuff that fills in the gaps. It's not 100% essential or anything like that, but it's a really fun read and I really did enjoy it. The other Venom book is Venom First Host, #1 from Mike Costa and Mark Bagley. So first of all, this is going to be the story that reveals the Venom symbiote, right? So the one that bonded with Eddie Brock, Peter Parker, Matt Gargan, and Flash Thompson, right? So that symbiote, who was its actual first host? It's a question that Donny Cates pondered early in his Venom run. He's like, do you even know who the first host that your symbiote was bonded to? So this is going to tell that story. It's not necessarily what you expect, or it might be what you expect, but it's really cool. Mike Costa was doing the run of Venom right before Cates took over. This kind of keeps along with the storyline that he was doing in that thing with Mark Bagley. Mark Bagley on the artwork. This stuff is so classic 90s Venom. It is absolutely awesome. They've already revealed who the first host was, but I'm not going to really spoil it right here, but I will spoil that because that's some beautiful 90s Mark Bagley Venom type artwork. I love the characterization here. It definitely fits in that Lethal Protector type era of how it's executed. It's fun. I'm a big Venom fan. I like the first host. It makes a lot of sense where the first host is from, how it winds up, where it's at. All that stuff makes a lot of sense. I thought it was a really cool chapter in the Venom storyline. I didn't really dig on or follow so much what Costa was doing on Venom pre-Donny Cates, But this is kind of interesting. If you, at the end of his run, Venom has a new spawn, a new symbiote baby, if you will, and this is going to pick up on those threads. So if you're following Venom for that, that's definitely cool too. But if you're just, you know, crazy for Venom like I am, you definitely want to check it out. Also from Marvel, the second issue of Extermination. Ed Brisson's been doing an amazing job on this one. Issue 1 blew me away. A couple kind of big deaths. Well, one big death and one kind of death that we knew was going to be happening, but it was really cool. Extermination is the event where Marvel's kind of like, let's deal with the young X-Men. Let's deal with the original 5 X-Men that are time displaced in the present day from the past. Let's finally deal with that. They've been here since 2012. Let's just end it all. So this is what they're doing. Extermination, they're going to be killing people off, rearranging things, shifting things. I really like this book right now. Ed Brisson's doing a great job. The pace of the script is just on fire. It's scintillating. It just moves at such a brisk pace. It's great. Pepe Larraz's artwork, or Larraz's artwork, is fantastic. I really, really like it. It's got deep, rich, dark tones to it. I love the line work. Lots of weight there. The flow of the story is just superly cool. Superly cool, I said. The coloring is amazing as well. The coloring is by, I want to spotlight this. Marty Gracia. Fantastic work. I'm loving this book so far. Nothing as major in this issue happens as issue 1, but it really keeps up that pace. It's one of those X-Men events that feels like of old, where it's like high stakes, you know, worlds will change, things like that, right? At least X worlds will change. I'm liking what they're doing with Extermination right now. Book 2 holds up just as well. Hunt for Wolverine Dead Ends #1. Well, I posted earlier in the PCP Army about how the Hunt for Wolverine Dead Ends, that's very telling, because that's what all of those books were. They were just ultimately dead ends, right? Well, Charles Soule is going to tell us that in this book, it's not, actually. They all have a piece of the puzzle. And he starts crafting together in here the big ultimate puzzle about where Wolverine is. And I found it completely unengaging, and I didn't care. Basically, the Hunt for Wolverine one-shots were kind of weak for me. This whole thing's been going on for a year now. I feel like it's just been done and over and over. I'm tired of it. I just want Wolverine back, and let's move forward. However, it's going to take a little bit further to get there. This is a decent issue. It catches you up on what happened in the Hunt for Wolverine books. They all kind of tie in together in one mystery, but to me, it's not really like revealing or exciting or anything like that. But Wolverine's coming back, so that's exciting, right? But that one-shot's out this week. X-23 is out with the 3rd issue. I'm liking what's going on with X-23 right now. I really like the artwork. It's really clean. Juan Cabal is doing amazing work. The artwork has a lot of room to breathe. It has a nice flow to it, but it's really big and dynamic when it needs to be. Great perspectives. Love the flow of the artwork. Mariko Tamaki's script is really cool. I'm liking it. This issue gets a little bit muddy in the script, just a little bit muddy in the flow. It kind of feels a little fast, a little sparse, but it does take the story to the next chapter, but it feels like it should maybe just been condensed into a few more pages. We could add a little bit more meat to this issue, but I'm loving the artwork. Woodard's colors are amazing, as usual. X-23 is pretty good right now. Exiles #7 is another book I'm really enjoying from Marvel right now. Issue 7 was no exception. Rod Reyes did a fantastic job, along with Lee Ferguson. Solid and Ahmed's been doing a good job with the scripts. If you think that sometimes Ahmed's work is a little verbose, a little too wordy at times, I really think that in the last couple issues of Exiles, including this one, he's kind of like ironing that out. I really like the flow of the story. The flow of the script is a little bit better. The dialogue just kind of hits and pops a lot better. I'm really liking the story. This really spotlights an Old West town, so the Exiles go to all these different realities, right? First of all, for longtime Exiles fans, some really heavy stuff happens in this issue for longtime Exiles fans. But this basically spotlights like an Old West type scenario, and the sheriff of that town is T'Challa, or he just shows up for revenge. It's so awesome. Cowboy T'Challa, like seriously, Old West Black Panther is awesome, and it's so cool. This book has been super fun to me. It's like the best of What If, right? But with a core group of characters that we can actually care about. And that baby, like young Wolverine right there, it's become one of my favorite characters in Marvel Comics. New Mutants Dead Souls #6 by Matthew Rosenberg and Adam Gorman is here. The conclusion to the series, but it's not really a conclusion to anything. I think it's a big setup to possible things that may be happening in the new Uncanny X-Men Disassembled weekly storyline that's debuting in what, like November or something? But this was a decent wrap-up to an alright series, a series that was kind of up and down for me. I thought it was decent. I've never been the biggest New Mutants fan, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe Rosenberg's kind of hitting on some of those heartstrings for some of you old school New Mutants fan, but for me, this issue was kind of confusing. It felt like a really all of a sudden wrap-up. I almost felt like I was missing something in the story. I don't know why. Maybe I just don't remember too much about what happened in the last couple issues. But this really didn't end anything, but it really leaves something dangling out there. And definitely with Rosenberg coming back as one of the 3 writers on the upcoming Uncanny X-Men series, definitely something that's going to play out there. So this is definitely something to look out for X fans. Marvel 2-in-1 number 9. Chip Zdarsky, when he first started this book, I loved it. I loved it so much. I thought it was a great book. It felt adventurous. It felt like old school Fantastic Four. Lately, it's kind of been wearing thin on me a little bit. And this one, I don't really like the artwork that much. It feels rushed. It feels sloppy. I'm kind of getting out of the story. I'm getting to the point where I don't remember what happened in the issue before. I don't really care. I feel like the story's either making jumps and leaps, or I'm just forgetting things. And it's almost like I don't care. Maybe because the Fantastic Four is back, but I feel like almost as if Zdarsky had a really good idea for like he only expected this book to go 6 issues, and then he kind of they had to throw something together to kind of keep it going. But anyway, I really like the concept of this book. I want to see the book continue, but this story right now is just kind of wearing thin on me. It's not really, I'm not digging it so much. Edge of Spider-Geddon, number 2 is here, a series of one-shots spotlighting some of these different alternate reality versions of Spider-Man. They're going to tie into the upcoming Spider-Geddon stories, kind of big sequel to Spider-Verse, all that stuff. So this one's going to spotlight the Spider. It's like a mech version of Spider-Man. Think of Neon Genesis Evangelion meets Spider-Man, right? And this character was created by Gerard Way in the Edge of Spider-Verse storyline. So this is kind of a follow-up to that character. I really like this issue. I thought it was pretty cool. They credit Gerard Way, so that's cool. Lonnie Nadler and Zach Thompson did the script. Alberto Albuquerque did the pencils. Really fun comic book. I really liked it. I love this version of Spider-Man. I love this character. I really think it respects what Way did in that first one-shot for Edge of Spider-Verse, and I thought it kind of just kept that going a little bit long. These Edge of Spider-Geddon books, they're not going to change your life or anything like that, but they're just getting you pumped up and ready for the Spider-Geddon story. And maybe it's going to be a little overwrought. Maybe I think Spider-Verse was just a little too much, a little overwrought, right? Maybe Spider-Geddon will be the same way. Maybe it won't. I hope it won't. I think these alternate versions of Spider-Man are kind of overdone, but set in their own world, spotlighting them individually. I really like that. I really liked issue 2. X-Men Grand Design, Second Genesis number 2. It's the final issue of the second volume of Ed Piskor's completely just taking all of X-Men history and putting it together in a very textbook, really fun, a la hip-hop family tree type way. I'm loving what's going on in this. It looks old school, taking years, decades even, of X-Men continuity and fitting it all together and making it like an encyclopedia of X-Men knowledge. I'm loving it. So the next volume's coming soon, Extinction, but Grand Design, Second Genesis, number 2, went through the Phoenix Saga and beyond. Really fun stuff. He's doing amazing work there. And also one more final thing I want to point out from Marvel. They got this Fantastic Four number 1 facsimile edition. It's basically just a direct reprint of the original Fantastic Four number 1 by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And today, the day I'm filming this, happens to be Jack Kirby's 101st birthday. So I definitely want to say happy birthday, Jack Kirby. We remember you. Your legacy lives on, and you're still changing lives even today. Definitely mine. Also, a New Gods new trade paperback edition releases this week, so check it out. But that's really fun. $3.99. It's a super cool reprint of Fantastic Four number 1. DC this week doesn't have a lot of offerings, a few annuals, most of which I don't read. And of course, the next batch of Looney Tunes DC crossovers. The best one I thought was the Joker Daffy Duck. This one was really, really fun. Done by Scott Lobdell and Brett Booth with the backup story that was pretty decent, but the main story was really, really fun. Daffy Duck is my favorite Looney Tunes character, and of course he's paired up with the Joker. It's a really fun story filled with hijinks. It's true to both characters. It's definitely like the Joker doesn't break character, Daffy Duck doesn't break character. Lobdell keeps it true, the dialogue is fine. Brett Booth, some of the best artwork of his career. It's very exciting, very dynamic, very big and explosive when it needed to be. This is my pick out of all these, these Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes, DC crossovers. Some of them are fun, some of them are super silly, some of them are just kind of worthless, right? But the Joker Daffy Duck one, I personally liked a lot. The Lex Luthor Porky Pig one I was really looking forward to. It's by Mark Russell and Brad Walker. This was the one I was most excited for. This was alright. It was cool. It was neat. It had some nice ideas, but it felt a little preachy at times. It felt a little thin with its metaphors and allegories, right? You know, if you dig what I'm saying. I felt like it was just a little too in your face. I was really expecting something more dark in tone, and maybe it's just my expectations. Maybe when I reread it, it will kind of even itself out. But I was expecting a more dark. I think there was a chance here to tell a darker story, a more real story, a less satirical story. Satirical, but not so goofy. This story was just a little too goofy for me, which is crazy because this one is goofy, and I love it. But maybe I was just expecting a little bit more out of this book, but it is still cool. And I do like it, and it's got some really nice ideas in it as well. Catwoman, Tweety, and Sylvester. This should have been called Catwoman, Black Canary, Tweety, and Sylvester, because Black Canary is just as much of a factor in this book as any of these three characters. Gail Simone does a good job of bringing Tweety and Sylvester into the DC reality. The story overall was just a little silly. It was all right. It was fun. So this is what these books are supposed to be. Silly, goofy, and fun. Does a good job, so it's decent. So the Harley Quinn Gossamer. So I don't like Harley Quinn. I don't like Harley Quinn, the current direction of Harley Quinn, like hardly at all. Hardly at all. Anyway, this I didn't really dig it so much, but the monster, the Gossamer, he is adorable in this book, and he's cute, and it works so well. But just the whole current direction of Harley Quinn is seeped all through this, and it just, I don't like it. So there is the Silencer annual. There's also a Nightwing annual, and a Batgirl annual, and a Red Hood and the Outlaws annual. I don't read those books. You would think I don't like Batman's family, but I really, really do. But the Silencer, I do read, and this is an alright issue, but it does tell a neat little story about the Silencer back in Gotham back in the day. And so it's Silencer versus Batman, and there's another little thing there. The artwork's a little crude. I don't really like it. I feel like it's a little too rushed. Doesn't really do a good job with the art, I don't think. But I do like the story. It's pretty decent. One of the weaker issues of Silencer yet, but I do think Silencer is one of the standout characters from the New Age of Heroes. So it was nice to see an annual spotlighted. Bendis has a new Jinx World book. It's Scarlet #1. A new Scarlet #1. A new story. Not really. It's the same story. So I don't know if I missed a few issues on Scarlet or if it's just been that long since it came out. But this story, I think, maybe jumps in time or something. I have no idea. But it did a good job of like catching me up to what was going on, knowing what the basic gist of Scarlet is. If you know nothing about Scarlet, I think you'll be able to pick it up. More so eventually. They're going to be doing some new trades of this. Scarlet is a pretty cool book. Alex Malee's artwork is amazing. Brian Michael Bendis, the script's all right. It doesn't feel as deep because there hasn't been enough Scarlet to really resonate with me yet. And it seems like the story's really progressed, but I do like this new progression. It's basically like, what if Portland, or like half of Portland, decided to just have a revolution against the U.S. government because it thought it was like, it was too corrupt. I mean, and it's crazy, but it's violent and it's kind of real. But a lot of it is, of course, the character of Scarlet talking at you. That's something that Bendis, this is a device that Bendis was doing from day one on Scarlet. So it does, if you like Scarlet already, you're going to dig it. If you're trying to get into Scarlet, I think it'd be better to get book 1, either right now from if you can find the Marvel printings of it, or just whenever DC reprints it very soon. But Scarlet's a decent book. This is a decent continuation of it, but I feel like I'm lost, so I got to go back and read some things. From Black Crown, that's IDW basically, House Amok, a new #1 this week from Christopher Sebelba. I thought it was pretty interesting. A decent little idea. It's basically about a family that has the shared madness, and they're seeing things or they're experiencing things, and it's weird. This book is a little hard to follow. It's very intriguing at times. The artwork is pretty solid by McManus, Lowridge, Bidikar, the other members of the team. You have Sean McManus doing the art there, and Bidikar on the lettering. Lowridge is the coloring. I do like the artwork. I do like the idea of the story, but I felt like the flow and execution was a little hard to follow, especially toward the end. I was feeling like I needed something to really grip me and hook me, and I feel like that's what they were going for, but it didn't really do it that much. Don't know if I'm coming back for issue 2, but this was pretty decent. But if you're going to go for a different book this week, I definitely would recommend The Beyonders, for sure. Or The New World. The New World #2. So #1 was my pick of the week. Aleshkot Tradmore, right? Seriously. How could it not be an awesome comic book? And it is. And Heather Moore doing the coloring, by the way. And Clayton Cowles on the lettering. So Tom Mueller designing it as well. I love the design of this book. I love it so much. I loved issue 1. There was a lot to it. Issue 2 is like so fast. You can read this in like 2 minutes. It like does not take long at all, but it's just as impactful all the same as if it took you 20 minutes to read it. It definitely has an effect on the reader. It's a high energy book, very dynamic. I love the artwork. It's really cool. Romeo and Juliet-esque type thing. I hate saying that. It sounds cliche to say it, but it's a cliche story about two star-crossed lovers from two warring sides of different ideologies and things like that, right? But I'm loving New World. I loved issue 1, issue 2, just as good, just really, really fast and really quick, but a very fast chapter. There's more to come, but I'm really loving this book right now. Moore's artwork is amazing. Cott's script is great. I love his story. Fantastic characterization. Isola number 5. It wraps up the first story arc here. It's not coming back till January, but it gives us plenty of time to go back and reabsorb this story. I think there's a lot in this story that I've missed because I've just been enamored with the artwork. Seriously, such amazing artwork in this book from Carl Kerschel and Mosaic, I believe. Beautiful stuff, brilliant, elegant lettering. A good story, a nice fantasy book. There's lots of things in there. There's a lot of thematic elements that I've kind of missed out because the stories feel quick. This issue feels exceptionally quick. A very quick wrap up to the first story, but a setup for what's to come. I really like it. I'm really involved with these characters now. Isola, however you say it, number 5, fantastic. Like I said, this book's not coming back till January for Arc 2, but you can good time to catch up. Check out the trade paperback when it comes out. From Vault Comics, Submerged number 2. I really like this book. Vita Ayala does a fantastic job with this. Lisa Sturley does a great job. Sela Dia, the coloring, Rachel Deering, the lettering, they do a fantastic job here on Submerged. I like it. I'm confused by the story because it's very metaphorical, very allegorical. I don't know, whatever it is. But it's got a lot of things that are kind of not so much on the surface. It almost feels like a stream of consciousness. I'm really digging it. I love the artwork. I love the flow of the story. It feels like a dream, and to me, that's really effective. I like it. It's basically a story. This big storm hits New York, and this person's got to go and find their brother, right? And then they meet this lost kid. And it seems like it's so simple, but there's so much more in there. There's fantastical elements, ghost-type things that happen. Really cool stuff that I think dives a little bit deeper than we will ever appreciate on the first reading. Submerged number 2. Vault Comics just been killing it. From Boom Studios, we got Bone Parish number 2. I was blown away with issue number 1. Cullen Bunn did a great job with the story about extracting a drug from the corpses of dead people, right? And the people that inject that drug experience the life and feeling of this person. So it's an interesting concept, but it also is about the characters. In issue 2, they kind of take these characters and they throw them around. They move the story along. Bunn does a great job with that. Alex Guimarães does a great job with the artwork. I love the artwork. It's got a great pace, great panel composition, great coloring. Everything about this book is really cool. Issue 2 was just as exciting to me as issue number 1. Walk Through Hell from Aftershock Comics. Number 4, one of my favorite Garth Ennis books I've read in a while, but I am a little bit lost in the story right now, reading it month to month. I need to go back and get recaught back up because there's this crazy, dark, spooky, ghost, hell, demon-y type thing going on, and they keep flashing back to this other story, and it's really intriguing with these detectives and this failed case they have, and there's a lot of interesting things going on there, but the way that the story is framed gets a little confusing for me at times. Issue 4 almost made me want to give up on it. I'm loving the artwork. I still love the dialogue, but right now, the way that the framing and the structure of the story, it's losing me just a little bit. Finally, let's talk about this. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Shattered Grid. Number 1 is a one-shot. It's the big finale to the whole Shattered Grid storyline. It's basically the best Power Rangers crossover they've ever given us. Now, I didn't say the best Super Sentai crossover they ever given us because this stuff still, nothing Power Rangers has ever done has anything on Super Sentai. But Power Rangers, really fun stuff. Every time they do a big crossover, Forever Red was pretty dope, for real, to be honest with you, right? But like Super Megaforce, whatever, it was kind of weak, right? And they're doing one right now for the 25th anniversary. The date that I'm recording this is the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers. It made its debut 25 years ago today. I love Power Rangers. I love this super cool chromium cover right there. Holofoil, whatever it is. It's a good wrap up. It's really fun. I really like the story. I would have preferred the story to be structured a little bit differently. Some of the things that happen in the finale here in this one big issue, it's $7.99, so it's big. But some of the stuff that happens in this issue, that would have been really cool if that was Act 2, right? And then a big final battle instead of the way it went down. but it was still alright. It's still the best Power Rangers crossover we ever had. It really utilized all the Rangers, really hit those feels, and it sets up something interesting. I'm not going to mention it right now because it's kind of spoilery, but at the end here they give you a preview of what's to come in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and it's interesting, really cool, spins out of this, and we'll talk about it this weekend on the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up. So that's what I got for you this week. For the weekly comic book review, that's what I read. That's what I thought about it. What did you read? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We really do appreciate it. It blows us away. We appreciate everything. Join us over at the PCP Army on Facebook. Join us on Twitter at the PCP Show at the Rockin Robbie. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/PCP. And don't forget to check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for our podcast and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.